Thank you, Ms. Parker. Okay, item 3, approval of the December 3rd minutes. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Items 4 and 5 are information and discussion. We have a standing item on this subcommittee, which is the Federal Aviation Administration changes in aircraft departure procedures. This is something that we've added as a standing item just to keep on the forefront. So that said, I'll go ahead and hand it over.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, subcommittee members. It has been now 3 months, and since the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, changed the procedures for departures from Sky Harbor as well as other airports in the Valley. And as of December 22nd, we now have received over 2,300 complaints from nearly 670 households. All of those complaints are logged by Aviation Airport Noise Office staff and conveyed to the Federal Aviation Administration for their information. We also provide that information on skyharbor.com. We have always produced a monthly report, and these noise concerns are now included in that monthly report, which is posted on skyharbor.com. Staff also attempts to return calls to all of those individuals. In one case, we didn't have a phone number, so staff went to the address of the resident and tried to make contact that way. So we work very hard to make personal contact with each of the residents that call to complain about noise concerns. And we will continue to provide information on skyharbor.com about any community meetings or any information that we have related to this topic is posted really on the front page of skyharbor.com. As you know, on December 16th, staff, along with FAA Regional Administrator Glenn Martin, made a presentation to the City Council at the City Council policy meeting. And at that meeting, the City Council approved motions to give staff direction to inform the FAA that the Phoenix City Council was recommending returning to the former flight paths or the procedures that were in effect prior to September 18th. Also to hold community outreach meetings and conduct noise monitoring, to request all documents from the FAA, and also disclose all aviation department records related to the flight path changes. Also to conduct a thorough review of the process that led to this implementation of the new procedures, and to present any future flight path changes to the Phoenix City Council for review and direct policy direction on how staff should approach it moving forward. In addition to those 5 action items, the City Council requested that any mitigation measures considered by the FAA in the future should consider cargo traffic, helicopter traffic, flight activity along the Grand Avenue corridor, which has been the dominant location of concerns that have been called into the noise office, but also flight activity along the southwest departure flight paths. Since the December 16th City Council meeting, we have sent a very broad Freedom of Information Act request to FAA FOIA coordinator Ann Warren on December 19th. On December 23rd, the city manager signed a letter to the Honorable Michael Huerta, FAA Administrator, requesting that the FAA return to the flight paths that were in effect prior to September 18th, and citing several reasons why it made sense for the FAA to consider making that change. And also, the Aviation Department is currently organizing all of our records and all the information that we have related to the flight path procedures, and we expect to have that collected and organized within the next few weeks so that those records are available. And then we have planned several community outreach meetings to occur in the month of January. The following community outreach meetings are planned on January 20th, 22nd, and 24th. We are trying to offer those meetings in different locations in the community, as well as different times of day and different days of the week to maximize participation. We are working with a technical consultant, Landemer Brown, who will help facilitate those meetings. And the January 20th meeting is planned for Cesar Chavez High School. The January 22nd, we have not confirmed that location yet, but are looking at either Metro Tech High School or North High School. And then on Saturday the 24th, we'll be holding a Saturday meeting during the day at the Phoenix Art Museum. And the purpose of those community meetings that will be held by the Aviation Department and open to anyone who wishes to attend. That information will be posted on skyharbor.com. The point of those meetings will be to respond to continuing community questions and to continue to document their concerns about the flight path procedures, and also to receive suggestions from the community about ways that we can provide resources to be helpful and provide additional information to the community, and also to solicit feedback from community members on the location of noise monitoring equipment. There will be lots of demand for that equipment, and so it's very important that we get to some kind of consensus on where those noise monitors would be located in the community. We are also participating in other meetings. Yesterday, we presented to the Planning and Development Subcommittee of the Aviation Advisory Board to give them an update on this issue and our work on this topic. Also, tomorrow we have been asked to present at the Willow Historic District Community Meeting, so we will be there for that meeting. Also, Glendale City Council will be having a workshop on this topic, and our airport noise information and planning staff will be available at that workshop to provide any information they need or answer any questions from that meeting. We do expect, as the FAA Regional Administrator had indicated in his letter to me in mid-November, that the FAA will be conducting their own community meetings. They will, of course, be invited to participate in the community meetings that the airport is holding in January, but we do expect that they will be having community meetings as well, and hopefully that will be in February. Then the Aviation Department, once we have conducted our noise monitoring, we've collected that data, analyzed it, and compiled it, we would be prepared to have community meetings probably in March to present that noise monitoring information back to the community and have a discussion about the findings of that data collection. We also want to keep this topic top of mind at the federal level. We have, as I mentioned, requested that the FAA reevaluate the new procedures, go back to the old procedures, but then reevaluate what the future RNAV procedures would be. We will expect the FAA, as requested by Congress, to report back to both the House and Senate Appropriations Committee on their progress over the next 90 days as they address the issues related to this topic. And we will continue to utilize our DC representation to get other meetings with appropriate city staff and city officials to continue the dialogue in Washington on this topic. And of course, we will continue to work with the FAA Regional Administrator along with our airline business partners moving forward on solutions. Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions you or the subcommittee. And here with me today is my partner and technical expert, Chad Makowski.
Thank you. Thank you. If it's okay with my colleagues, we have a few cards on this item. I do want to mention, speaking of DC representation, we have Monica Sanchaffer here. Monica is here representing Congressman Ruben Gallego. So everyone is interested. We also have a representative here from Councilwoman Pastor's office, and I'm sure everyone is going to be in tune on this. So that being said, why don't we get to the cards? We'll go with Dale Taylor first, and Mr. Taylor.
I have one little point of order.
Mr. Taylor, can we get you over to the microphone so we can?
If you have your little, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
If you have your little page 10 open, 12, left my glasses at home. There's a discrepancy on the dates and locations. The dates, January 20th, You had 22 on your screen, and they're reversed. While my main reason for being here is to ask questions about some of the studies, maybe I should be talking after the fact, but we've had very little information about health impact on the areas that are affected by the air traffic flow. And right down at the end of our street, we have two public schools, Cartwright and Hurd. And I have talked with the school monitors at the location, and they've informed me that they're having a lot more problems with the kids with respiratory difficulties since the change took place. And we live just a few, 3 blocks from there, and we've noticed on our vehicles, which are parked outside, that the debris, the black dust, is coming up to the point where we have to wash the vehicles if we want them to look decent every week now, not every 3 weeks like we did in the past. So the debris that's falling from the air is having an effect on the physical environment and also, I believe, on the children that are in those two schools. When they go out to play in the playgrounds, they're having difficulties in running and doing other things. So that's my main concern now, and I'll save any other questions for another time. Thank you.
Thank you. William Trumbo? Is that correct, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Bill Trumbo. I'm a retired resident in the downtown area. I spoke last week. I think Tammy Fisher answered most of the questions that I had going into this, and thank you for that. I'm a little concerned about the open-endedness of it. It seems like there's no dates given for reverting back to the September flight paths, and we're already looking towards, now it looks like it's going to be March before anything is going to happen, and I think we need to keep the pressure on the FAA to make sure this happens. I did take the initiative and wrote to the National Register of Historic Places in Washington and asked them what they might be able to do for us. Which, as you know, there's at least 500 properties in our neighborhood, including the beautiful Orpheum Theater here, that are registered. And the FAA, like any other federal agency, must go through their advisory council before they implement any changes like this. And I don't believe they did. I think they didn't, just like they didn't tell us that it was happening, I don't think they told these people. So I've got them involved. Gigi George wrote to them, as did I. I've asked the council to write to them and see if we can get some action from Washington. And I thank you. All right. Thank you.
Are you the one that put out the email with the address, the email address that went straight to Washington?
Yes. This email, yes.
Thank you.
You bet.
That was easy, and I got a reply back in probably 5 minutes that they'd received it and forwarded it to the FAA.
Yeah. I'm not sure that wasn't exactly the answer. We might not have.
No, but I was surprised we got a response that quick.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Trumbo, for all your work. Donna Gorman? Now, Donna, it says here that you don't want to speak, but you're welcome to if you'd like. But it does show that you are, I think your position is clear, that I think you're also opposed to any changes. Okay? Thank you, ma'am. Jane Crafter says here that you are wishing, sure, please.
My name is Jane Crafter, and I live in the Willow District, Almeria and 3rd Avenue. And I feel a bit like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde every day. I wake up in the morning and I kind of listen and I go, how's my day going to go? Depending on how the aircraft, the direction takes off. Because in my house, we are in a really bad mood when the airplanes take off to the west and a good mood when they take off to the east. And it's become very frustrating, and it's affecting not only our way of life, but it's also affecting our property values. And we're almost to the point, if this keeps going on and on for months and months, we're almost thinking about selling and finding some quieter place to live, because this is getting to be over the top. It's incredibly loud. And I do believe, and perhaps Ms. Fisher can answer this, a lot of the planes are turning early. One of our neighbors actually wrote on the Nextdoor website that he took off in a Southwest plane going to Albuquerque, and they took off to the west, they turned at 14th Street, and he could look right over us at City Hall. And then they're going over the historic districts, and eventually they might hit Grand. And I'm wondering what we can do, or what the city can do, and the airport, the aviation department can do to, at the very least, have them adhere to the flight paths that they're supposed to go. I mean, I've seen planes go right over my house, and they're certainly not anywhere near Grand Avenue. If they could just even go another couple of miles before they turn, that would save us all a lot of angst. And, I think the most important thing is that when they did go, they turned at 9 miles, how much higher in altitude they were and how much less effect that was caused to the local residents. And also, we must think about downtown. At the Super Bowl, we're going to have a lot of visitors in these hotels, and I think that's something that we need to be very concerned about. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Russ Cousins? Is that correct, sir? Thank you.
I live in Fairview Estates, and I've been there 26 years. I've been through a lot there, the bums and the flippers and so forth. This has dramatically affected Fairview Estates. The flippers don't even sell houses anymore. Now they're renting them. If this isn't changed, and not changed in 6 years or 3 months or 7 months or whatever you're looking at, what you're going to get in these areas, and I can only speak of the area that I'm familiar with, I've been there 26 years, you're going to have rentals. And people don't take care of rentals. And when I came there, the area was devastated. I mean, it really was 26 years ago. This was not a place that anybody would want to live, say nothing about myself. And I thought about that pretty hard. That's what you're going to revert back to. I'm presuming that you all had a really nice Christmas dinner. Well, all I listened to was airplanes. I had people from out of town. They said, how can you put up with this noise? I said, well, they're supposedly working on it. And one of the things I would like to see today is I would like to see somebody report back to the different areas on a given time frame, at least once a month. What's going on? How this is being taken care of, what's being done about it. If you're in these meetings, that's fine. But realistically, you can only take so much time off of work to come to these meetings. You could send these things on Nextdoor. Nextdoor goes to 10 different districts. They get information every day. And you people could sign up for it. You could tell them what's going on. I'd like to see something like that. And I'd like to see a regular basis for somebody from one of the council members to report back to the people what's going on, how you're fixing it, if you're fixing it at all. I called Laura Pastor's office last week, talked to Carla, and Carla said to me, we haven't worked on that for quite a while. I don't know where that's at. I'd like to see this being brought up every day. It's a big deal. This affects 3,400 lives. I mean, 3,400 residences at least. That's a lot of people. You people need to do something about this. And not years away. Now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Louisa Stark. Finally, this is our last card.
Thank you very much, Councilman Valenzuela and members of the committee. My name is Louisa Stark, and today I'm wearing my hat as a board member of the Phoenix Elementary School District. I've always note with interest the number of people who have been calling from and the number of houses that they have, properties they've called from, but I don't see anything on the board here, and maybe I'm not sure whether you received the information about school districts, about businesses, about other folks who are really being impacted by this. On October 30th in 2014, our school board wrote a letter was addressed actually to the Phoenix Airport District Office, and my understanding, or our understanding, was it would also be forwarded to the FAA. We've heard nothing. And I don't think you probably have gotten the information that our school district, Phoenix Elementary, which has schools throughout the area where this noise is so devastating, that you have received this. And I'm just wondering, I live in the Story District, so of course, I'm very much impacted personally. But I'm just wondering why we're not receiving more. I mean, I talk to business people who are concerned. I'm not sure if they're writing you letters. And certainly our school board is, as Mr. Taylor said, the noise is incredible as far as our schools are concerned. I mean, we're talking about either possibly closing schools or possibly having to totally soundproof schools because of the noise. So I truly hope that you will follow some of this, or be able to, and perhaps question staff and others about what is going on. Obviously, again, the residences are very, very important, but I think it's really important to look at schools and businesses as to what they are looking at. And I can tell you, I think it's going to expand this concern about these flight patterns, perhaps by quantum numbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Stark. And I'll, before I ask my colleagues if they have any questions, I did mention before that we have a member from Congressman Gallego's office and members from the various council offices, districts 4 and 8, along with all of us. As always, we have a representative from the mayor's office as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, please. We'll be sure that we get that copy passed around. Thank you, Ms. Stark. I'll turn it over to my colleagues if you have any questions or comments. Councilman Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate, sorry, I've got a frog in my throat here. I apologize for that, and thank everyone for coming down, and I apologize for all the meetings you all have had to come to already on this issue. I hope you heard that the council spoke strongly about this in a unanimous vote at the end of December, but good for you for keeping our feet to the fire, and that's what I think all of us intend to do is move forward with this. So I'm pleased to see that our city manager, Ed Zerker, sent a letter to the FAA administrator on December 23rd, setting forth, a pretty clear request that we go back to the old flight plan. So do we have any idea at this point, how long it will be until we hear back from the FAA?
Mr. Chair, Councilman Gates, I do not have a response yet from the FAA. It is my intent to follow up with them at least within 30 days of that letter. I will be traveling to Washington, D.C. for an unrelated matter, and would hope to make contact there to see if we can get a response. But I have not received anything, contact or written response to that letter indicating when we might get an answer to that request.
Well, I appreciate that, because I think we need to just find out here as quickly as possible what's their position going to be. Obviously, there was some discussion of other approaches that the city may need to take, and I think the sooner the better that we can know for these folks, who it's really impacting their daily lives, so that we can pursue the other avenues that are available. I don't think anyone on the council wants to have to do that, but if we have to, again, the council spoke clearly that we are ready to do that, if we need to. So thank you.
Yeah.
You.
No.
Yep.
Said what I was.
And I agree. I think Councilman Gates summed it up, and I think there was a clear message. I think in December, before the holiday break, we all agree, and really our city staff, and thank you for all the work. Thank you for all the work, Tammy and Chad, that you've done. When I went through the packet, this was more than I expected, actually, and I know that it's not enough. I know we have a lot more work to do, but in dealing with the FAA, I think we all understand the challenges that we are faced with, and I do want to thank you for all the work that is being done here. Now, I was given 2 more cards, Twyla Lake and Christy Pitts. Thank you. Both agree, do not wish to speak, but agree and would like to see the flight paths revert back. Okay? That being said, I think we are ready to move forward to the next item. Yeah,
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would like to clarify the question about the meetings, the dates and the
Right.
locations. We are continuing to finalize our plans, wanted to share as much information as we could, but things did change in between the time the subcommittee report was submitted to today's presentation. The final dates and locations will be posted on skyharbor.com, and that will be the final location. This is the most current information on the screen. We did have to change the location based on availability, and the Saturday meeting was originally planned for the Phoenix assembly rooms here. However, due to Super Bowl events and parking changes that are being made to accommodate Super Bowl activities, we moved that meeting to the Phoenix Art Museum to stay out of that congestion for this particular meeting.
Thanks, Tim. And if you could please be sure to add, you mentioned that the FAA will be conducting their own meetings as well. Let's put those dates on the website as well, so that it's not just the city's meetings, which the FAA is invited to, but we want to be sure that everyone can go to the website and get all the information that's available, if possible.
And we would also expect to provide that information directly to the mayor and council so that that can be distributed.
Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. We will move on to item number 5.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Jerry Harper, our Deputy Convention Center Director,